If you had one shot or one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted in one moment, would you capture it or just let it slip? Yo. His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti, he's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud, he opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's choking how? Everybody's choking now. The clock's run out, time's up, over, loud. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes rabbit. He choke. He's so mad, but he won't give up. Daddies, he know he won't have it. He knows his whole back to these ropes. It don't matter, he's dope. He knows that, but he's broke. He's so stacked that he knows when he goes back to this mobile home, that's when it's back to the lab again, yo. This old rhapsody better go back to this moment and hope it don't pass him.
Listen, we can talk about the flag, but let's talk about the team. Wait.
And good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media Live, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, you know the drill. Share it out everywhere you can. Tell the world to come on over and listen to this episode of Trending in the AM right here, as we are every 8:30 a.m. every day of the week, because turn the dial down, turn us up, because that's where you want to be. Because we bring the fire and the passion every single morning. We engage each and every one of you every single morning. And the easiest way to get engaged with the conversation is to head over to the YouTube page or Facebook page where I can put your comments and questions right up on the screen, just like these examples that I'm doing that I have pre-set up for the show. So I'm your host, Phil Stifle, at Beard of Knowledge on Twitter. Joined today, as always, by my co-host, my partner in crime, Jason Voorhees, at Mustang3651. We're brought to you by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming products, the GOAT and below the waist maintenance. Make sure you check them out, manscaped.com. Use promo code DSM Media, or just DSM. Use promo code DSM. Does a few things. It gets you 20% off, free shipping. Lets them know Team DSM sent you. And there's a lot of promo codes for Manscaped out there. Use the promo code DSM of your favorite podcast network, which we obviously are. And make sure if you're over there on the YouTube page, you hit subscribe and let us continue to grow this page. We're up to 526 subscribers now, and the charge to 1,000 continues. Good morning, Jason. How you doing today?
Doing good, man. How you been? It's been a couple days.
Yeah, it's been a couple days. You know, you need a few days off here and there. I understand how it is with you. You know, you can't handle 5 days a week of me. You can only handle about 3 or 4. So I got to kick you out once in a while. You know, yeah. Mark checking in. Good morning. The St. Peter Peacocks. That's right. St. Peter's upsetting the University of Kentucky. It could not have happened to a better person than John Calipari getting upset in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Honestly, I didn't fill out a bracket. Well, I filled out one free $1 million payroll on DraftKings. I don't even know what I filled out, but I don't even know. But March Madness is upon us. But guess what, Jason? We are going to ignore March Madness on this show. We're not going to talk March Madness at all. Are you okay with that?
Well, in a sense, it kind of has been March Madness in other sports, including
Absolutely.
baseball and football.
Baseball and football free agency at the exact same time.
Exactly. So it has kind of been the epitome of March Madness.
Absolutely. That's a great point. It's a great point. So yesterday, we had some interesting conversations going on about the Eagles and the Phillies and free agency and stuff like that, and Howie Roseman. So I want to pick up with Howie Roseman and the question to start the day. Obviously, yesterday we talked about Howie Roseman, got his 3-year extension. Now, Howie Roseman's contract runs side by side with Nick Sirianni's. So this could be it. If Nick Sirianni doesn't work out, Howie Roseman might be gone as well. I don't know. We'll see what the future holds there. But since yesterday, we announced Howie Roseman, got his extension. And all that Howie Roseman's done so far officially is sign Hassan Reddick. Yesterday, obviously, the Fletcher Cox news broke that he was released or cut with a post-June 1st, designation, which means it saves on the salary cap and stuff like that. Everybody's freaking out. Everybody's up in arms. People got to understand the salary cap implications. And then it was broken by, let's go the phones, my man, Coppin Toboggan or whatever his name is, breaking the news that he was being cut, but also that he has already been, unofficially re-signed to stay here on a 1-year deal. And basically what they're doing is They're saving a couple $1 million in the salary cap this year, a couple $1 million in the cap next year, and Fletcher Cox is now just on a 1-year deal for about $15 million. So everybody thinks Howie Roseman's asleep behind the wheel. But if you really look at it, restructuring, he already made a mistake by restructuring Fletcher Cox's deal the first time. But he's kind of fixed that mistake. He hasn't gone out and overspent on Von Miller or Christian Kirk. He hasn't, gotten involved in overpaying the trade for Russell Wilson. Some people think Howie Roseman's asleep behind the wheel. I'm going to say the complete opposite, that Howie Roseman is quietly, because it's quietly having a good offseason the first 3 or 4 days of free agency and the new league year.
You know what? I normally disagree with you, Phil, but lately I've kind of come to the conclusion that I've been agreeing with you a lot more often. I'm a little bit curious here because I agree. I think Howie Roseman, when we talked about the fact that we thought this was going to be, his most aggressive offseason probably, in history, maybe the only one other than this would be the 2017 year when obviously he went all in and every single move he hit on. Right. And if you remember that year, though, 90% of those signings were not considered major signings.
Right.
A lot of those signings were like under the radar type guys like Chris Long, Robinson, the cornerback. Right. There was quite a few guys that were signed by Howie that season, right, that you wouldn't consider like top flight free agents. So I think you might kind of see the same thing this year. And I'm not opposed to that because listen, let's face it. I get the fact that we have all this cap space. And once again, I use the word, I'll use this term. I used it in our group chat, instant gratification. But once again, we're in an instant gratification town where everyone wants things now.
Right.
You have all this money, so everyone's expecting, let's just go sign all these guys.
The top 2-3 guys.
Yeah, but it doesn't work that way. Yeah. In reality, here's where we're at. So, yes, coming into the year, you had that list of like 8 wide receivers that were available, okay?
Right.
Not Howie's fault that all these guys kind of went off the board even before free agency began. Now, could he have traded for Davante Adams? Absolutely. But $141 million is a ton of money to be putting into one wide receiver. And listen, I know he's great, but he's also 29. And odds are that, when you get to that certain curve, age level, your production is either going to even out or it's going to start going down. Right. It's not going to keep going up.
Right.
And you also got to remember with Davante Adams, he had Aaron Rodgers throwing to him. Aaron Rodgers probably the best quarterback in this generation that we've been watching. Like as far as getting the football, he's one of the most accurate people I've ever seen. So a lot of factors there. I agree. I think Howie Roseman's kind of taking this a different approach, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we're not going to sign, good free agents.
I mean, there's still names. I mean, you got Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger. So would you rather sign, Von Miller and Marcus Williams and that's it, or Hassan Reddick and go and spend Christian Kirk type money on a wide receiver and that's it? Or would you rather what they're doing? Hassan Reddick, which now looking at the other deals, it's a steal of a deal, $45 million for 3 years on a guy like him. Then you go out and you get, say, Tyrann Mathieu. Patrick Peterson's been linked to Philly a little bit lately. He's going to be a cheap 1-year deal. Stephen Gilmore, you can go get him on a cheap 1-year deal now. There's other options. And if you can get 5 or 6 really good players to have a well-balanced team that can also not hold you with long-term contracts while you develop some young players, that's kind of a little smarter than just going all in on 1 or 2 guys. And then you got to be cutting guys next year because you're cap strung again. I'm going to give you real quick, wide receiver wise. I mean, there are still wide receivers out there. And I brought yesterday with Dylan, who was, my co-host yesterday, a name that I liked. And that's Jamison Crowder. big-bodied possession receiver. He's a free agent. You can get him on a 1-year deal. He's played with the Jets mostly in his career. I like him. He's only 28, 29 years old. He's a guy that's a sneaky good wide receiver. Another name that is now available, potentially, and I'm curious of what you think about him, and I wonder what kind of a trade it would take to get him. Obviously, Allen Robinson went to the Rams. I know you agree. You always say ACL injuries aren't what they used to be. Robert Woods probably is available now from the Rams in a trade. He tore his ACL way early in the season. All indications he'll be back for training camp. Not the start of the season. Training camp is when he'll be available to be on the field again. Robert Woods, people forget about how good Robert Woods was the leader on that wide receiver room before Cooper Kupp. You know, Cooper Kupp kind of surpassed him the last 2 years. But Robert Woods is a really good wide receiver. He's got 1,000-yard receiver in him. There was a 3-year stretch. I brought up his thing because I wanted to make sure I had it right. He averaged from 2018 to 2020. These are his targets: 130, 139, 129, 86, 90, and 90 receptions. That's pretty damn good. So what are your thoughts on Robert Woods? Would you be, if you had a trade, we joke about trading the 15th pick for DK Metcalf. If you had to trade a 3rd or 4th round pick for Robert Woods or a 1st round pick for DK Metcalf, I don't know where your stance is on that.
Well, I still think in the scheme of things, my number one target would be DK Metcalf because A, he's much younger.
Yeah.
And B, I think he's a bigger body type guy. Robert Woods, to me, isn't that big body type guy. I'm not saying I disagree with the fact that he would be a good addition, but I think what the Eagles severely lack is that big body wide receiver. And that's why I was so hell-bent on the fact of getting a guy, like Mike Williams or, Calvin Ridley is still tall. He's not like huge, but he's a bigger guy. But I will say this. If they could get like a combination, if they could make like a deal and get a Robert Woods and then go out and sign Julio Jones to a kind of prove it deal.
So you're in on Julio Jones. You're in on Julio Jones.
I got to be honest with you, dude. I think Julio Jones, a lot of people think that he's washed. And that's fine. That's okay. If people want to, they're entitled to that opinion. That's fine. I can't see how a guy can be that dominant over a decade and then all of a sudden be what? Now, yes, he's had some hamstring injuries, but I'm going to look at it this way. I think that if you looked at Julio Jones the last 2 seasons, especially this year with Tennessee, every time that he had a hamstring injury, they tried to bring him back too soon. And that only makes the hamstring injury not heal.
Right.
I think he's a guy that needs time off. And if you looked at his season this year, he had a lot of time that he didn't play.
Right.
I think you give him the off season to heal. I think he could still come back and be okay. Hamstring injuries, like I said, in season, they linger. But if you have time to let them heal, I don't necessarily think that he's a guy that can't play because let's face it, in the games that he has played in, he still puts up big numbers.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I would necessarily just go out and spend a ton of money and get him, but I'm saying that if he would come here on a deal where you could say a 1-year deal, kind of a prove it deal, we'll give you like $9 million or $8 million. To have him, a guy like him around for Devonta Smith, now you're talking like not just bringing him in as like an extra, player to help your team, but also a guy that can help groom Devonta Smith because Julio Jones, like whether you think that he's washed or not, look at his resume. I mean, a lot of times I think people forget how great Julio Jones was. I mean, he realistically didn't have injury history.
No, exactly. That's what I hate. That's exactly what I said about Russell Wilson. It was like, oh, he's injury prone. I'm like, he had injuries this year on a freak accident, and that was it. And he never missed a game. Julio Jones was not injury prone before this year. So yeah,
and that's I guess that's where I'm at with it. So he's a guy that I definitely would be on my radar. But I love Robert Woods. I'm not opposed to it.
I mean, I'm looking at the wide receivers that are available right now. Look, I know he's a small name, but I'm a Jamison Crowder fan. I think
Jamison Crowder.
I think he could provide a really good number 2 role on this team. I like your Julio Jones thing. In my opinion, my order that I'd be looking at the guy, like I'm looking at the whole entire list of available free agents right now, and there's a lot of names on this list. But my target list would be in this order. I'd be looking at Jarvis Landry, number 1. I'd be Crowder 2. He's not on the list because he would be a trade, but Robert Woods would be 3. Julio Jones would be 4. That would be my order. Just because, I don't know, that's just my personal. I think Jarvis Landry is going under the radar.
Jarvis Landry, are you kidding me? Under the radar? Like, Jarvis Landry.
How is he not signed yet? How is he not
Jarvis
signed yet?
Landry, I think you're right. I think he's underrated.
He's absolutely underrated.
He is never talked about when it talked about great wide receivers. And if you looked at what he did, I mean, he had all these records for like most receptions by a rookie wide receiver. Most like,
and he was playing with Baker Mayfield. Put a good quarterback with him. Jarvis Landry would be a really good freaking wide receiver.
Well, no, and remember he played with Miami in the beginning of his career, and he had Tannehill. But even then, like, he put up numbers with Tannehill, and Tannehill's not a superstar. So my point is I definitely agree. Jarvis Landry, matter of fact, that's the guy I'd be after.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize he wasn't.
Everybody's talking about all these other names, and nobody's talking about Jarvis. As soon as Jarvis Landry was cut from the Browns, hell, when there was rumors that they were trying to work out a trade for Jarvis Landry before they cut him, I was saying, yo, I would be in on Jarvis Landry. Because again, if you look at the guys I'm looking at, Jarvis Landry, Jamison Crowder, even Robert Woods, even though he's a smaller guy, they're possession wide receivers. That's what we need. We got Devontae Smith that can stretch the field. We've got Dallas Goedert that can stretch the field over the middle. Quez Watkins, you've got the burner in Quez Watkins. You need a possession receiver. I know they're not all the size of Alshon Jeffrey, but you need that guy. That guy that can go get a 50-50 ball you got a 3rd and 8. You got to run an out pattern, a back shoulder throw for a first down. You got to go get one of those guys that can make that tough catch for the first down. And those are the guys that can do it. Landry can do that, absolutely. Jamison Crowder can do that. Robert Woods can do that. And Joe Bucci checking in saying Robert Woods would be number 1 out of all of them. Yeah, I mean, you can make an argument that Robert Woods could be number 1 for me too. I mean, we're going to get into the draft, Joe. Stay tuned. I'm so excited for that. We're going to do mock draft 5.0 very shortly here. So yeah, I mean, it's crazy. So we're in agreement then that Howie Roseman is not asleep at the wheel.
No, I think to say that is kind of asinine.
Yeah.
I just think everyone wants them to sign the big name guys. But they got Hassan Reddick, who is a big name guy. By the way, he's very young still.
Yeah.
At a realistically discount price, if like you said, looking at the other contracts that these guys got. I
mean, just remember, people, everybody that thinks that he's asleep behind the wheel, okay? The last time we spent excessively large amount in free agency was the Dream Team year. And everybody was calling it the Dream Team. Well, Vince Young was, and everybody else was whatever. But it doesn't always work out when you spend excessively in free agency. You got to spend smart in free agency and draft well. Real quick, before we get into the mock draft and stuff, Mark earlier had said, because we were talking about Fletcher Cox, which I don't even need to spend much time because the Fletcher Cox situation is going to work itself out. He's going to be re-signed to a better team-friendly deal after June 1st. He says Fletcher Cox is a Hall of Famer. And I disagree. I don't think he's done enough to be a Hall of Famer. There was a point, for sure, when Fletcher Cox trajectory was going. He was trending towards the Hall of Fame. There was a point in time when I thought he was, on the same par as Aaron Donald. But it was too short a period of time. He to me is equivalent to like Ryan Howard. Amazing for a 3 or 4 year stretch, and then just decent, and then tailed off. I don't know. Do you think he's a Hall of Famer?
I think that's even a stretch to compare him to Ryan Howard, because Ryan Howard put up like I know defensive tackle. It's hard to look at numbers per se because
what I'm looking at is all pro teams and stuff like that. He was all pro 3 times, and all pro 1 only once. So he was only on the all pro 1 team 1 time in his career.
I don't think Fletcher Cox is a Hall of Famer. I think if he continued his strong play, I think his play has just dropped off immensely the past 2-3 years. It's not near where it was back, even the Super Bowl year. I mean,
he had about a 4-year.
I'm not saying Fletcher Cox is a bad player in any stretch. I mean, he's obviously been a keystone on this defense, but I'm not gonna lie. There was times where I just looked at Fletcher Cox the past 2 years and said that he's basically like, talk about somebody that was asleep at the wheel. You want to use that line? That was Fletcher Cox for most of the last 2 years. Asleep at the wheel.
I agree that he does get a lot of double teams and a lot of triple teams. That's right, Mark. I understand that.
Fair.
I just don't know if you need to have a long career. Well, first off,
can I ask you a question though? On the flip side,
yeah.
On the flip side, he gets constantly double and triple teamed, and to use that as an excuse, I think it's a legitimate point. But so did guys like Reggie White. So does Aaron Donald. And they still get through it. So I don't think you could just say, oh, because the guy's double and triple teamed. Like,
yeah, okay. No, I get that. What I was going to say was, look, will he be a Hall of Famer? Maybe, but he shouldn't be. And we could spend a whole episode talking about how I feel like all 4 major sports. Well, I don't know about hockey's Hall of Fame much, but the 3 other major sports, it's way too easy to get into the Hall of Fame. To me, you have to be like elite for a long stretch of time. Fletcher Cox was really, really good, borderline elite, if not elite, for about 4 years. If you're only elite for 4 years, to me, that's not good enough to get into the Hall of Fame. He was Jerome Brown of this generation. Well, yeah, I mean, Jerome Brown was a great back then, too. I mean, I would have to look at, more into it to really refresh on how great Jerome was. But, yeah, I mean, I just don't think he's good enough to get into the Hall of Fame. He might get in, Mark, but to me, I wouldn't be voting him in because, like I said, I think it's too easy to get into all Hall of Fames. I really do. The Hall of Fame should be the elite of the elite, the best of the best with honors, sir.
The Hall of Fame should be the Hall of Shame because you're right. They let too many guys get in that don't deserve to be in, and it's every league. It's baseball, it's football, it's hockey, it's basketball.
Yeah,
But like you said, we will do that. How about maybe one of our Monday overreactions in we'll talk July,
about like some of the most
when we're in the heat of the summer and it's boring with baseball and the team is struggling and
they might not be struggling. We'll talk baseball in a minute. We're going to get into the mock draft here. This is mock draft 5.0. All right. So here are the rules, Jason, for this mock draft. We're going to have to agree on every selection. If you want to make some trades, we can early on. Once we get past the 3rd or 4th round, we're just going to rapid fire through the draft. But this draft, the mock draft 5.0 of Trending in the AM, is based around the fact of after the first week of free agency, who we've gotten, Hassan Reddick, who we've missed out on, the top tier wide receivers, et cetera, et cetera. That is what we're basing this draft around. We're basing it around the fact that we now have a little bit more of an idea of what this team is. So let's fire up the old mock draft machine here. Before we make the first Eagles selection here, I got to go back and see who's, on the board. Oh, so we're already. I'm skipping. I'm not giving up 15 for 2023 picks. Let's see what else we. Yeah, I'm not giving up 15. Not yet. We can always go back to the draft. So let's just see who's off the board. Thibodeau, Hutchinson, Hamilton.
But wasn't that Seattle?
Yeah, Seattle was making a trade offer there. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's just say what we would do. I would trade pick 15 for DK Metcalf.
Yeah. So at this point, Jameson Williams off the board already. Who's the top wide receiver? One of the top wide receivers. Garrett Wilson's off the board. Those guys. Devin Lloyd, linebacker, off the board already.
How about Chris Olave?
Chris Olave, the edge rusher, he is on the board. You've got still Linderbaum. You got Ojabi. You got Dirk Stingley as well on the board. None of the good. Olave, the wide receiver, he's all the way down here. You could probably get him a little later. Do you draft another edge guy?
Yeah,
you draft a cornerback because you need a cornerback, or are you going to go the route of Stephen Gilmore, Patrick Peterson in free agency?
I want a Jabo.
All right. Well, if you're going to take a Jabo at 15, then I get to pick 16, depending on the trade.
Fine.
So you want an edge rusher, which I'm okay with that. I agree with you on that. We're going to go with Ojabi. Let's see what kind of offers we can get here. Yeah, I don't want 2023s. Let's see what else. Nope. That was the only trade offer they gave us. Let's see here. No, guess they're not going to give me any more trade offers. That means I got to take it. I would be going either Stingley or Olave, a wide receiver, but I'm going to take Stingley because, we still need cornerback. Even if you get Patrick Peterson, you're still going to need to upgrade that cornerback room because Patrick Peterson will be a 1-year deal. So you're going to go Derek Stingley there. All right, so now we're at 19. Now this is an interesting trade here. Okay, we've got pick 19. Okay, top guys on the board. You still got the center Linderbaum. You got a bunch of quarterbacks. You got Olave. You got Andrew Booth Jr., the cornerback. Jermaine Johnson, a good edge rusher. You got Daxton Hill, a nice safety. You got some decent players on the board. But for the 19th pick and our third-round pick, 83, they're giving us the last pick of the first round, 32, plus the second pick in the second round. So you're picking up a second-round pick for your first-round pick. Is that a fair thing? Do you want to do we counter that? I mean, what are your thoughts on that there?
I think
or do you want one of these guys that's on the board?
I like Olave. I've liked him for a while. I think.
Let's see what else. We got 19. No, we don't want that either. Let's go back to this. Hold on. Let me just see what we can counter here. Let's see if I take 83 out, say give up 124. See if they accept this. Nope, they won't accept that. All right, so you want Olave, you want the wide receiver there.
Yeah.
I can get behind it. That's fine. I just want to see who Olave really is. 6 foot. It's basically Robert Woods. So if you don't get Robert Woods, you take Chris Olave there. All right, where are we at now? We're getting to our 51st pick. Trade 51st to move back 4 spots. Now I'm canceling that for now. So 51. We already took. We got Desmond Riddler. You got a cornerback. Oh, I always love the name Boye Mafe. It's such a cool name. But you already took an edge. You got a bunch of edge guys. You got a tight end. Got the best linebacker on the board, 6'2", 239. 3-down linebackers exploded into a natural seam. Let's see. Closes gaps in short areas. Traditional middle linebacker. Could increase pass rushing ability to become elite in that. I don't know. What are you looking at this point in the draft then?
I wouldn't be opposed to linebacker.
Neither would I. The 45th ranked player at 51. You need to improve linebacker. Why not? So you got the Wyoming linebacker that we just said. There's another linebacker here, Christian Harris, another Alabama kid, as you would expect someone who played from this position 2 years. Raw linebacker. I'll pass on that. Don't want anybody that's raw. All right, let's go linebacker. Let's see what happens here with the rest of this draft here. Number 80-something here in the third pick here, third round. All right, so now you still got more linebackers. You got a guard. You got another couple wide receivers on the board. Logan Hall, 6'6", 283, 4'3", and 3'4". Let's see here what his stats are here. There are over a dozen different techniques to play tackle. Doesn't really say much about him. I don't know. We do need a defensive tackle. That's just why I was. Yeah, you kind of got to start thinking about Fletcher Cox's replacement, but I don't know much about that guy. I don't know. You could go center. Lindstrom, he's the second best center in the draft. There's lots of options here. I'm not sure. We've done linebacker, we've done cornerback, we've done defensive end.
I like defensive tackle.
All right, we're gonna go with the defensive tackle then. We're gonna get bashed for this because we don't know nothing about any of these guys that we're taking now.
Well, that's the thing, dude.
I know.
With these drafts.
All right, 124. Tight end Trey Berry, 6'6", 244 tight end. He's a 5th-round prospect, and we're looking at him here in round 4. Wow. All right, so we'll pass on that. Notre Dame running back. That's another short guy. 13 touchdowns. Catches the ball in the backfield. Agile, explosive. I don't know. This tight end. No, I mean, I hate this part of the draft because I really don't know any of these guys, honestly, at this point. I'm not a. What's that?
Running back's not a bad. I don't think you can ever go wrong by taking a running back in the middle round.
Right, you convinced me. This is really the mock draft 5.0 for Jason because you're making the final call. You're the GM. I'm the other guy in the background that's shaking my head when you make the picks and everything.
You're like this. Yeah.
Do we go with a backup tackle from Penn State, 6'5", 313 pounds? A guard, 6'4", 307 pounds. Did we take a tight end yet, or did we not?
Didn't.
All right, so we got a 6'2", 238-pound tight end. I'm just going to grab a tight end because we need a backup. We need another tight end. And I can't say the guy's name. Chigoziem Okonkwo.
Well, he's from Maryland, so he's local.
Semi-local. All right, 6'2". All right, so we still got Rashad Walker, who is somebody that, hold on, let me read this up here if it's who I think it is. Yeah, I mean, backup lineman. That's a Howie move right there. So, I'm pro Howie right now. Or do we go with another late round wide receiver?
Pull the trigger
on
what you were gonna do.
The lineman. All right, there we go. Thanks, Howie. I appreciate that, Howie. A couple picks later, we still got the same names on the board. I want to see who this safety is here. Box score sticks. Don't make blah, blah, blah. Unique build for the position. Oh man, he's small. Oh, hold on. This doesn't make sense. He's a Miami. Here it says he's 6 foot 200 pounds. Hold on. Weatherford. Hold on. I'm confused here. Then he says he's 6'4", 230. He does have pure size, length, coverage element. Let's
need a safety.
Yeah, exactly. We don't got many more picks here. Do we take a punter with the 6th round pick?
Quarterback.
Quarterback. Yeah, exactly. Another wide receiver, a guard. We did draft a running back already. Yeah, I mean, what position? You want a quarterback? Let's see who's available here at quarterback. Yeah, nobody I've even ever heard of. So pass on that. This is at the point where you go best available. You either take the wide receiver or the guard.
Take wide receiver.
Take another wide receiver. All right.
Let's get rid of J-Jaw.
Yeah, let's get rid of J-Jaw. All right. So the point of this whole exercise was really for the first, 3 rounds to see what we do now and how it adjusts. And this is where we're at this point. Ajobi, Stingley, Olave, and Muma. That right there, those first 4 picks, that is based off of the fact that we've only signed Hassan Reddick. The fact that we've missed out on the top tier wide receivers. And I think that's important right there.
Can I be honest with you? And once again, I know we talk about how these drafts, like the middle round picks, are obviously, hit or miss.
Right.
But if you told me, and we looked at those 3 picks that we got there, Olave, Ajobo, and Stingley. If you're telling me that as an Eagles fan, you're going to be upset with that it's
right.
Crazy. You're addressing 3 positions of need
right.
in a first round with talent that is supposedly pretty good. I mean, now obviously, could they be busts? Yeah. So could anybody. So could a first round pick 7 could be a bust. The problem with the draft is everyone has their own opinion of that guy's this.
Everybody thinks that everybody thinks they're Mel Kiper. Hell, Mel Kiper is right only 1 out of every 10 times. You know what I mean? And he gets paid millions of dollars to do it.
We have to trust. Listen, I know Howie's track record has been bad with wide receivers.
Yep.
I know Howie's track record has been pretty much bad in first rounds, except when we've had, top 10
yesterday. He's about 50% hit on first round.
My point is, you have 3 picks now, in that range. I think realistically, yes, you go best player available, but also with position and need in mind. And I think we did that with our 3 picks. Okay. You can't fault if somebody's not there. Now, obviously, like I said, I like Jameson Williams, and I know a lot of people shy away from him because of the injury. But just the fact that I've been watching these mock drafts, because I kind of pay attention when people post them on social media, I've noticed that Jameson Williams' name has started to go higher up in the draft again. I remember in the beginning when we started doing these mock drafts, he was available at like pick 19.
Yep.
Now I'm seeing him go in the top 10. That has to tell you something.
Before his ACL tear.
Well, that's what I mean.
Be a top,
that has to tell you where people's minds are, though, as far as the injury. Because if you look at the fact that these mock drafts, he's starting to rise up again. to me, that shows you that people are kind of looking past that injury and looking more to what he can bring, to the football field. Now, if he drops to pick 15 or 16 and he's there,
you take him.
I'd be hard pressed as the Eagles to not take him, because then you have him and Devonta Smith. Like, it's like a young wide receiver core of like guys that can grow. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I know some people are going to bash me for it, but that's
what we do. We get bashed on a daily basis. It's okay. All right, let's transition real quick. We're going to pay a quick bill. Everybody hang in there for 30 seconds. As we pay bills, we'll be right back with the next topic of the day. What's up, everybody? Phil Stiefel here. Trending in the AM. Look at this site right here, 99jersey.com. Proud supporter of all Trending in the AM shows. Make sure you check them out. Like I said, 99jersey.com. They have the best jerseys of all your favorite athletes from high school, college, movies, TV shows. You got the Kobe Bryant, Lower Merion, the Charlie Conway, Mighty Ducks. Everybody always asks where I got my Sugar Shane Falco jersey back there from the Replacements movie. 99jersey.com. I mean, Magic Johnson, Michigan State, Lonzo Ball, Jalen Rose, you name it, Russell Westbrook, you name it, they've got it on this site. Make sure you check them out, 99jersey.com. Use promo code TRENDING at checkout. It gets you 15% off right away. 99jersey.com, promo code TRENDING. Yo, support the podcast that brings you the heat every single morning. And we're back here at Trending in the AM. I am Phil Stiefel, your host, with my partner in crime, Jason Voorhees. And we're going to transition from football. We're going to talk. We got lots of topics. We got 25 minutes left unless we hit overtime. We've been hitting overtime a lot this week on the show because there's so much happening right now. But we got a couple topics left to talk about. But we got to get baseball first, and then we're going to get to Sixers, and we got one final topic that I haven't told Jason about. So, I'm going to leave a little tease there for Jason to make him think, what's the final topic of the day going to be? But Phillies, obviously, we spent a lot of time talking yesterday about Kyle Schwarber and their lineup. I do want to get, Jason's thoughts on the lineup as I projected it yesterday. But, the rumors are now starting to float around that Nick Castellanos is still in the hunt, and that the Phillies are, as of this moment, as of before the show went live, the rumors I was reading that the Phillies are still the leader in the clubhouse to land him as well. So, if the Phillies land Nick Castellanos, is it Castellanos? How do you say his last name, Jason?
Castellanos.
Castellanos. If the Phillies land Castellanos, is that enough to put them as a contender in the very, very difficult NL East? Because right now they're the third best team at best. But then you're adding a guy that's going to hit 330 home runs and driving 100 RBIs. Is that enough to put us in contention with the Braves and the Mets?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if the Phillies sign Castellanos, that will show me two things. A, that I was wrong about John Middleton, because now they are willing to go over the tax, or if they have to make other moves to stay under, that's a different story. But either way, you're being aggressive. By not getting a guy like Castellanos when he's still available, you're telling the fans that we signed Schwarber and we think we're good enough to compete. And I just don't see that. I think you add Castellanos, now you're talking. Now you definitely can look at this lineup and say, okay, wow, they got some big, they got a lot of pop.
Mm-hmm. So the question is, does John Middleton go to Dave Dombrowski, or does Dave Dombrowski go to John Middleton and say, hey, we've got a deal for Nick Castellanos on the table here. Here it is, whatever, make up the number. It doesn't matter. Does John Middleton go back to Dave Dombrowski and say, yes, or does he say, yes, but you better move Didi or Gene Segura so that it keeps us under the caps or the salary tax limit still? Where do you think John Middleton's mindset is as of this moment on that? Because we all agree bringing him in here makes us a contender. So I keep saying that John Middleton would spend over the tax if there's a chance at winning. But do you think is that enough to convince him?
Well, I mean, rumors are rumors. So the rumors is that he's not. But the fact that I'm hearing a lot of reports, and obviously, like you said, the latest one shows that the Phillies are the number one running to get Castellanos, that has to tell you that maybe the rumor's off base. Maybe unless it's for a certain player, he doesn't want to go over. You know what I'm saying? But like a guy of Castellanos' caliber, I mean, Castellanos coming into the year was probably one of the top free agents, obviously, right? I mean, on paper, I know a lot of people say Chris Bryant, but like I said, I look at Chris Bryant as being a guy. He's not the Chris Bryant that we knew. Like,
right?
He's
Chris Bryant was the name value.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, obviously, contract wise, he got a contract because of his name, not necessarily because of his production. And let me just clear this up because I have been getting some flack because I said that I wasn't a huge Kyle Schwarber fan. It doesn't mean I don't like the guy. Doesn't mean I don't think it's a good signing. I just said it's not a great signing. However, if you sign Kyle Schwarber and then you sign Castellanos, my opinion drastically changes. Castellanos, the only reason I said that Castellanos to me is not a great signing is because what you get out of Castellanos, I mean, I'm speaking in riddles here. What you get,
this name.
What you get in Schwarber, you could have spent millions of dollars less and got a guy that can put up the same production. He's a one-dimensional player. He hits home runs. He doesn't hit for average. He doesn't put the ball in play, and he strikes out a ton. So that, I'm a baseball realist. I like baseball for the game, not the analytics. If you like analytics, then yes, Kyle Schwarber is a great signing. And he's a stud, as some people have said. I don't see him being a stud. I think if you polled around the national media, you would have a different opinion. The guy, yes, he can hit the ball out of the park, no doubt. He's going to hit a lot of bombs. It's going to be nice to see. I'm just saying that he didn't move the needle to the point where I said that the Phillies are a contender by just signing Schwarber. Now, like I said, if you sign another guy or you go out and you realistically look at what I believe is the Phillies' biggest deficiency, their starting pitching, which I know a lot of people disagree with me. But once again, to me, on my opinion, the Phillies' hitting is actually not bad already. It's the pitching that I'm still concerned about. And I'm not going to be not concerned about it, especially when you're being told that Zach Wheeler has a sore arm. I mean, do these people realize that usually when somebody has a sore arm, a lot of times later in the season, you find out, wow, he needs to have surgery and he's out. If you don't have Zach Wheeler, you're in trouble.
I mean, everybody keeps saying that. You got Zach Wheeler, you got Aaron Nola, you got Zach Eflin, you got all these guys, you got Ranger Suarez, and I try to tell everybody Ranger Suarez, which he's back and he is in camp now. They figured out all that stuff, and now they're saying that he was working out in Colombia, so he might be, what's the word to say? He might be ready for the start of the season. Kyle Gibson. People are saying this is a great rotation, but I just to point out Zach Wheeler. I'll point out Ranger Suarez. How many games has he started in Major League Baseball? 12. He has literally been a starting pitcher for a cup of coffee. And everyone thinks he's going to be this lights out guy. It's a question mark. There's a lot of question marks in the starting rotation. Now, what are the odds that all the question marks work out? The odds are they don't all work out. Maybe Ranger Suarez does really well, but Zach Eflin is who Zach Eflin is, an inconsistent pitcher. Or Zach Wheeler is healthy and Ranger Suarez proves he's not a season-long starter. Who knows what question marks work out or don't? Real quick, I want to go over the batting order. You got to pretend Nick Castellanos is not here because he's not here yet. As of this moment, you say the offense is okay. In my opinion, this is the starting lineup, batting order, as of this moment. You got Kyle Schwarber leading off. And I know you don't like Kyle Schwarber, and I'm not. He's the bronze medal to me. We discussed that yesterday. And Jason said bye-bye. Oh, bye-bye, Jason. So anyway, well, hopefully he'll be back here shortly. Check my phone here, make sure he texts me, see what happened there with Jason. We'll save the batting order then for when Jason. Oh, he's already back. You just said bye-bye on me right there.
What happened?
I don't know what happened. You left me.
I thought the whole show left. That's why I went.
I'm used to people leaving me. That's just what they do, you know. All right, batting order. This is where the batting order is as of this moment without Castellanos. Okay, Kyle Schwarber leading off, and I know Kyle Schwarber strikes out a lot, but he does get on base. He does draw a lot of walks, and that was the problem last year, getting people on base in front of Bryce Harper. He will draw a lot of walks. He'll hit some home runs too and stuff like that. But Kyle Schwarber won. Gene Segura, second base, is your 2-hole hitter as of this moment. Then you've got Bryce Harper, Rhys Hoskins, JT, 3, 4, 5. Okay. You probably got Alec Bohm in your 6-hole. You got Didi Gregorius in your 7-hole. You've got, who am I missing here? You've got your center fielder platoon, Verling and Odubel. That's your 9-hole. And who am I missing out of our starting lineup here? I'm missing somebody here. Didi, Gene, JT, Bryce. Who did I miss?
You had 9.
Oh, and whoever plays DH. Okay, no. So it's Bryce, Reese, JT, 4, 5, 6. Alec Bohm, 7. Whoever your DH is in the 7-hole, whether it's Bryson Stott or Didi Gregorius, and then the other one plays shortstop in your 8-hole. So it goes Stott 7, Didi 8, and then you've got Odubel / Veerling in your 9-hole. That's where your lineup is at this point. It's good, top 6, but then the fact that you then are going to rely on both Didi and rookie Bryson Stott, and then Odubel or Verling as your 7, 8, 9, that bottom end of the lineup, in my opinion, is bad enough or question mark enough where you do need to go out and get Nick Castellanos. Because then you bring Nick Castellanos in, and either him, Schwarber, can rotate the DH spot, the other one can play in left field, and then you could go Stott or Didi in the 8-hole, and then your platoon in center field.
You have a lot more options, and you could also play Bryce Harper in center. He's capable of doing it.
I don't know if he'd want to play it though all year long.
I'm saying it if you need be though. It makes your lineup more versatile. You have on an everyday basis, you can have a different variation.
And correct me if I'm wrong. You might know this better than me. Hasn't Nick Castellanos played third base at some point in his career as well?
He has.
I don't know if he was any good. I mean, he's not the greatest left fielder in the world. If he's not the greatest left fielder, that probably means he's not that great of a right or third baseman either.
He's better than Andrew McCutchen, though, at this point in the career.
Oh,
Andrew
most people are.
Early in his career was,
a great center fielder, and he couldn't play left field. Yeah. Exactly. So do you need to have Nick Castellanos for this lineup to be a contender?
I mean, Phil, I'm telling you, yes. In my opinion, Nick Castellanos puts you on a different level.
Okay.
It just adds another element, and the guy hits 300 too. I mean, he hits for average. It's not just power. You got to look at that. This team's lacked guys that can put the ball in play. Besides Bryce Harper, I mean, Bryce Harper carried the team on his back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I said, are the Phillies better off right now than they were last year? Absolutely. Kyle Schwarber, like I said, not a bad player. He helps this offense tremendously as far as what he's going to give you to the offense. I still look at what they did as far as the bullpen, and I look at it like, I'm not saying it wasn't an improvement, but I look at it like they nickeled and dimed it instead of getting the guys that realistically would have been better in those spots. Brad Hand, to me, is a guy that could change my opinion, because if Brad Hand is healthy, I've seen what he can do. I mean, the guy could be a closer, actually. I'm not going to lie to you. I'd rather Brad Hand be the closer than Corey Knievel. I don't think Corey Knievel is the closer. A lot of
3 eighth-inning guys.
Like you still I think Corey Knievel is better as a setup guy. That's where he's actually extremely dangerous and does his. I've seen him, put people out in that when he comes in the 8th inning, 1, 2, 3, like all the time, especially when he was with Milwaukee.
So real quick, I read an interesting thing. You and I are both anti-analytical to an extent. We don't believe it should be like the Clentac Kapler analytics level. I know it's part of baseball. We've been talking. We got to wrap this baseball segment up because we got 2 more segments still to get to. I read an interesting article. I forget whether it was on ESPN, Sports Illustrated, SI, whatever. I forget where I read it. That we keep talking about how bad the defense is going to be with the Phillies. Hoskins, not a great. Bohm, not that great yet. Schwarber in left field, not that great. Odubel in center field, not that great. We got a lot of question marks around the diamond at defense. But that baseball teams, analytically speaking, are starting to not care about defense as much anymore because, A, it's a hitting league. It's all about, geared towards, home runs and driving in balls. There's less balls put into play that you have to worry about defense. It's a small number that is dropped, but it has dropped so that people don't care about it. Do you think people are overvaluing the fact that we have a bad defense in the outfield and all around the diamond?
Overvaluing?
Like they're saying, like we think our defense sucks. It's going to be a problem. Maybe we're wrong because that's not the trend in baseball.
Well, all you got to do is look at the history of the teams that have won the World Series the last few years. I mean, the Astros were great defensively. Okay. The Dodgers were great defensively. Okay. Like, I don't think you can just focus and say, "Oh, well, we have a great offense." Yeah.
Well, no, that's what
to me. I don't think. Regardless, I get why the league's going that way, and I get it. I do. It doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it gospel. Like, you realistically have to succeed in all three areas if you want to have a winning championship team. Okay. You got to do good. You have to.
Analytics are saying it's trending that it doesn't matter as much.
Well, and maybe that's true. And maybe that's what the Phillies are doing. But then once again, my concern is if they're still going with that philosophy, that tells you all you need to know about what's wrong with this organization. Because to me, Matt Klentak and Andy McPhail are probably the reason why we're still in this position that we are today.
We're going to be like in this position
because
for 5 more years.
If they had been total dopes, we might be ready to contend right now. But they were – I mean – our farm system is the main issue. That and I know a lot of people say that, but it's true. We don't even have because I know I was saying jokingly that I wish we would have traded for Chris Bassett, but like I said, who would we have given up? The Mets, like I said, the Mets have a good farm system. That's why they were able to get Lindor last year, and that's why they were able to get Bassett this year. They have unlimited. I don't want to say
Major League Baseball released. You just brought it up. Major League Baseball released their top 100 prospects. Our best prospect, Bryson Stott, is ranked like 43rd, and the other pitcher, Abel, is like 88th. We only have 2 of the top 100 prospects. It's pathetic.
And that is your problem, because when you don't have because prospects, let's face it, it's not just to make your team good, and like we saw it with the previous regime with the Utleys and the Howards and the Rollins. Jimmy Rollins, to me, I know Howard and Utley always get like the name notoriety, but to me, Rollins was the guy that I looked at on that team as being the leader, like the guy that really drove the bus. But not getting off the subject. I'm just the point I'm making is that
we got to wrap this baseball segment up.
I got it. But the young guys, they're not just to be able to bring up and make your team better, for a longer period of time. They're also used as assets. Mm-hmm. It's just the same as we talk about in the NFL with draft picks. The only difference is that they're already playing in the minor leagues. It's almost like a draft pick, but yet it's like, okay, well, we have this asset. We're going to use that and get, our pitching is bad. Let's go get a number 2 starter. We have an asset to do it. But the Phillies' problem is they don't. And like you said, they only have 2 of the top 100. That's a problem. And that's Matt Klentak and that's McPhail. And like I said, I could sit here and yell about it and scream about it and freak out about it. But the truth of the matter is that our franchise was set backwards by those guys. And it's going to take a little bit of creativity to move forward. And hopefully we're doing that. But
all right. So real quick, we got to move forward. I did not tell you about this segment. Okay. The segment is all you. You got about 3 or 4 minutes to talk here, because then we got to wrap this. We got to spend 3 seconds on tonight's Sixers game. So the next segment last night may have been Claude Giroux's last game with the Philadelphia Flyers. The NHL trade deadline is Monday, I believe it is. He did not go with the team and travel. He stayed back in Philly. Basically seems like he might be done. There's a generation of Flyers fans, like the 20-year-olds, or maybe even like 30, 31-year-olds, that Flyers hockey is Claude Giroux. we're us older guys. We remember, Recchi was a Flyer. The Lindros era. There's a generation of people that they grew up with Claude Giroux. I just need like a 2-minute, like what your thoughts are. If that was the last game last night of Claude Giroux's career, obviously it was a disappointing career because we never made a deep cup run with him. But thoughts on Claude Giroux if that was his last game as a Flyer last night?
Oh man.
I know, and I'm putting you on a time limit. You've got 2 to 3 minutes here. When that clock says 58 minutes, I'm cutting you off.
I mean, Claude Giroux, the person, I love the guy. I couldn't. I don't think there's too many guys that are more humble than Claude Giroux. Like, he does wear his heart on his sleeve. He's a guy that ultra talented. I mean, you nailed it. Like a lot of the younger generation, that's all they know for the Flyers. Like, so I'm getting teary-eyed here because I'm not gonna lie. I love Claude Giroux. I do. I bashed the guy. I've talked shit on him, but at the end of the day, like Claude Giroux is like, it's just a shame to me that we weren't able to win a cup. And I don't blame necessarily Claude Giroux though. I blame the organization because they didn't really put any support around the guy. Not every player, regardless of how much talent you have, is a leader. You can have talented managers in any job. It doesn't mean that they are good leaders. You have to look at the whole picture. And to me, the pick, if you want my honest opinion about Claude Giroux, definite sure ballot Hall of Famer. Guy that, like I said, I love Claude Giroux as a person. I'm disappointed that he didn't win a cup here. But I'm in the same breath, I'm happy that they're, hopefully trading him to a place where maybe he can win a cup because he does deserve it.
Okay.
And I don't, like I said, a lot of people sit there and they bash the guy. Mm-hmm. You can't bash somebody, like I said, if they're not, for not being what you expect them to be. Because like I said, Claude Giroux might not be a great leader. It doesn't mean he's not a great player. Mm-hmm. So for that, I'm sad to see him move on from the Flyers, but I'm hoping that we can get some good guys in return and whatever we get back that can help this team moving forward because this team needs, more help than anybody, including the Phillies. Yeah. So, yeah.
Sorry to get you all teary-eyed here at
it's all right.
In the morning.
I didn't expect it, but I
had to bring it up. I didn't want it to be a big segment because we don't really talk too much Flyers because they've just been dreadful this year to talk about. But, I knew it was probably his last game, but then I saw the report this morning that he did not travel with the team after the game. So that pretty much, when you're not traveling with the team, they're at least trying to make a really strong effort to get him out of town, get him that one last chance at a cup. He's not that old yet. I mean, he still might have a few more years left in him, right?
Oh, yeah, he's not. It's not like he's like a 40-year-old guy. He's like 33, I believe. So, yeah, he's got plenty of time. I'm hoping that he goes to Colorado because I think that would be a nice – I think Colorado has the most to offer us back.
Okay.
As far as they have –
Are there rumors there that they're looking or talking about him?
There were. I haven't really been following it as of last week.
Okay.
But I do know that there's a couple young kids on the Colorado Avalanche that I like, and I also like. I would like to get a pick. You know what I mean? Like whether it's a first round pick or because, like I said, we need all the help we can get as the Flyers move forward in what's hopefully going to be a rebuild. But who knows? I mean, they still have a lot of guys that are, high priced and not doing anything. JVR.
All right. So real quick, we're going to wrap this show up. Sixers play the Dallas Mavericks tonight. The Sixers are 3-2 in their last 5. Some ups and downs. The Mavericks are 4-1 in their last 5. Sixers are 2.5-point favorites. Again, just like the last game against the Cavs, Joel Embiid is questionable with back soreness, but he did play in the last game and played dominantly. So there's a chance he plays. There's a chance they sit him. They have talked a lot about resting Harden and Joel a bunch down the stretch so that they're healthy. Cavs are really, or the Cavs, the Mavs are a really good team as well. Luka Doncic in town. Do they win? Do they not? I don't know. But I'm hoping Friday night, a game against a really good contender. This is not the game to rest either of your two stars, because you want to get them as much experience against these tougher opponents as you can going down the stretch. Am I right on that, or do you think that it doesn't matter whether they rest against hard or easier opponents?
No, I think there's a lot to be said with what you're getting at there. You want your stars to be competition level, to be as close to what it's going to be in the playoffs as you can. And yeah, I think you can look at it systematically and rest them. Maybe the way I would like to see Doc do it is rest them, kind of rotate. I don't want him to have both of them out.
He's going to rotate the rest.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I definitely like lesser opponents would be more realistic to me than resting them against better opponents. But
right.
I don't know how much time, how many more games are left.
Right. Yeah. So we'll see. I would like to see them win tonight. I hope everybody plays. I'll be watching more of the Sixers game tonight than March Madness. I'll just be brutally honest with you with that.
You're not have to work late?
Oh, I work late tonight, but I'll still be watching it. It's always on the TV at the shop. Look, shout out to Jake Talking 215, Mufasa, Black Eagle Sam, some of the guys that I interact with regularly on these shows and on social media. Popped in the pizza shop the other day. So I just want to shout out to those guys because they're very supportive of what we do here, Trending in the AM. And, little surprise pop-in visit from Jake and Mufasa. It was really cool to see them, meet them in person. So shout out to them. And, the only March Madness thing that we watched last night, like everybody else, the Gonzaga game and DraftKings. I know you're not a big gambler, Jason. DraftKings had a promotion. Gonzaga, the number one seed overall in the whole tournament, was minus 8,000 to 1 to win their game. So basically, you had to bet $800 to win $1. Okay, so they offered everybody that bet up to $50 even money. So if you bet $50, you'll win $50. All you got to do, there's no point spread, nothing. Just straight up win Gonzaga. And Gonzaga was tied at halftime. And they were losing by 2 points a few minutes into the second half. And I'm telling you, everybody was sweating that bet. Except for me. I mean, I knew that Gonzaga would blow it out eventually, and they did. They won by 22. But, man, DraftKings must have been really counting their pennies there, that they were about to take in a couple $100 million in easy money there. But, yeah, that's the only game I watched yesterday, just because I had a $50 bet on them. But that was it. So we're going to wrap it up right there, Jason. Trending in the AM, another week is over. We'll be back on Monday with Overreaction Monday. Maybe some new Phillies news, maybe some new Eagles news. We'll see what's happening around the leagues. And Jason, what do you got this weekend with Sports and Metal and all that?
Yeah, so tonight we got a very special guest. We've actually had these guys on our show a couple times, and I really would hope that all of you guys will come in and check them out. The band is called Loungefly. They're phenomenal. They're a Stone Temple Pilots tribute band, and they basically sound like Stone Temple Pilots in their heyday. Like it's amazing. So we're gonna have them guys on tonight, and that'll be at 7:00. So if you guys want to check us out, that's where we'll be.
That's Sports and Metal.
Drunk on Ice. I'll be back next week. I had to take a week off last week, and but Mike Giletto from Fired Up did an excellent job in my absence. So shout out to him and Don. And let me just say, I really appreciate all you folks that support not only DSM but support all of us, because I believe we have a great community of people here between DSM, Talking 215, as you mentioned, Fired Up, Drunk on Broad, Drunk on Ice, all these guys. Like, you guys are all great, and let's just continue being a great team and support each other, and hopefully go to the top.
Yeah, turn the dial down and turn us up. Well, all of
Absolutely.
us. As Mark always says, when he's not on the show, he's got us plugged into his Apple CarPlay. Listen, and you don't have to have any special equipment. You just plug your phone in, and it goes right through your sound system. you can listen to us and all these podcasts in your car on the way to work, on the way home from work, all the time. So anyway, we're going to wrap it up right there. Everybody have a great day. Make sure you're following everybody. Jason at Mustang3651, myself, Bill Stifle at Beard and Knowledge. Back next week. Everybody have a great weekend. And as we're saying it, it's still 6s and 5.
6s and 5.